Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Valeo Values Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Hockman. Today's guest joining us via Zoom from Portugal is current Valeo Nazaré midfielder in Nazaré, Portugal, Rahul Drukpa. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Rahul.
Hello. Thank you.
So before we delve into everything, our first question here on Valeo Values is, how did you get your start in soccer?
Oh man, I was so young. I was in Nepal. I was 6 years old. I lived in Nepal. Started in a refugee camp. Played with plastic bottles. Made balls with plastic. Everything. That's how it all started, man.
In that environment, how do you just fall in love with a game like that so quickly?
People in Nepal are crazy about football, man. So that's just how we just grew up in that environment, just playing football. Everyone's playing football. There's just football all around. So we don't really have a choice, you know?
Yeah. Talk to me about your upbringing altogether, because it is definitely a unique story in itself. You mentioned you came from a refugee camp in Nepal. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So my mom, my parents, they're from Bhutan, and then they got kicked out of Bhutan and had to come to Nepal. And in Nepal, like in Bhutan, they got kicked out because there was you couldn't speak Nepali, and there was a whole bunch of stuff going on, and then they got kicked out of there. And then we came to Nepal, and yeah, we stayed in Nepal for a couple of years. I was born in Nepal. My parents were born in Bhutan, and yeah, I was born in a refugee camp, and it was quite an experience, man. It was when we had rations given to us, and it was we lived in huts with bamboo sticks. Our house was made out of some mud and bamboo stick and some tin. It was that was my upbringing. So it was definitely started there, man. Yeah.
And how long did you live there before you guys moved to the US?
I lived there. So I lived there 6 years, and then I don't know how long my mom lived there for. I don't know, but then I was 6 when I came to the US, so 6 years for me. But I still remember it like it was yesterday.
What was it like landing in the U.S. for the first time? What was the biggest culture shock for you?
All the food. I was amazed with all the food, man. I can't I just saw. I was like, dang. There's I didn't even know what grapes were, man. I was like, there's so much food. I couldn't believe it. I looked at the fridge. I was I didn't it was just shocking that there was so much food and everything. I was just wow. The food was a huge thing. I was like, wow.
And where did you settle in the U.S. when you guys landed here?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
And how was that just right off the bat?
Man, the snow was crazy. And the snow was another culture shock. I was like, bro, what is this? It was all cool. It was the snow was cold, but everything was good.
What time of year did you land in the winter, or was it
I think we landed January or February, something like that. So it's pretty in the winter time.
That's incredible. When you get to New Hampshire, you're 6 years old. You grew up playing football in that kind of environment in a refugee camp. When you came here to the US, did you get an opportunity to play other sports and dabble in anything, or was it just soccer from the get-go and that's what you stuck with?
I played some baseball. For a year, and some basketball. I was really into basketball after I came here. I was I was a dancer for my uncle used to be a huge Michael Jackson fan. So he used
You want that out on the podcast? You want people to let you know you're a dancer?
You can, man. I was a dancer first, and then I don't know. I played some baseball, and then I played basketball.
You guys heard it here first. Rahul was a dancer first and foremost.
Yeah, before all this, I was a dancer, man.
What style of dance?
I however Michael Jackson used to dance. My uncle used to teach me.
That's awesome.
Traditional dancing too. I got some videos up on YouTube.
That's fantastic. We're gonna have to look that up. Maybe toss some clips into the podcast in post production here. But I mean, moving towards the soccer side of things, I mean, at such a young age, you know, you have such an idea of what the game is supposed to be, and people develop. You know, and that's the age where I think people start to realize, all right, there's a development process to, you know, the game of soccer, and everyone develops at a different pace. I mean, not everyone's going to excel at one skill or one technical ability at the same rate as the players around them. I mean, what was something that you noticed yourself as a younger player, and how did you handle, you know, mentally the fact that there were kids developing at a faster rate than you were?
I have like a really like crazy story about this. Like, it's crazy. I used to play, so I started off at Inti Soccer Academy. That's like they like helped me out so much. And then I got recruited from there. And I was playing on like the B or C team on GPS New Hampshire. And I got called up one day to play with the A team. And then I got called up and it was raining. I was on the bench for a full 90 minutes watching in the rain. I didn't get to go in once. And I was like, and my best friend now, he plays in Cornell, Sam Latona, Valeo, he used to play on Valeo too. He like was starting. I was like, he's younger than me. How is he playing this good? And he's like, you know, and I couldn't, I was like I don't know, I felt bad about myself. And then I just got to training. And then now I feel like me and him are similar level. And it's crazy. Like, you can get, like, you don't know how much, like, where you can get if you just put in hard work. That's all.
I mean, what you realize, you know, you're sitting on the bench, you got a kid that's younger than you, somebody that you know who's playing. I mean, what did that do for you mentally? I mean, I feel like a lot of kids might shut down in that moment. They might realize, they might even give up. They might realize, oh, you know, I'm not where I thought I was, but here's this kid that I know and that I like, but now I need to compete with him, you know?
My uncle, after the game, told me to quit soccer. He's like, you got me driving. You stood in the rain and even go in once. So he just said, quit soccer. I was so angry. I got to work. I just looked up soccer drills on YouTube. I didn't really have like a my mom was like working like 3 jobs. Like, I didn't really have a person to look up to or someone to help me. So I was like all on my own, and I just got to work. I just got a ball and some shoes, and I just got to work, man. I went to the nearest field and I got to work. That was it.
He told you to get back to dancing.
He told me to quit, bro. He was so angry at me. Like, you didn't even play, no nothing. I don't know. I'm not mad at him though. It helped me out a lot. I was angry at the moment, but I don't know.
Yeah, that'll do that to you. I mean, also for anybody listening, they're doing a lot of construction around my apartment. So if you hear some drilling, I got some work going on. But back to the soccer side of things. I mean, what age did you start playing club soccer? You mentioned you played for NC to start. What age did you start playing club soccer for the first time? Because I didn't start until my junior year of high school.
Oh, wow. I started pretty young. I think, played U10. I was like 10 years old when they recruited me, and I was like 10 when they recruited me and gave me scholarships and stuff. And yeah, it was 10 years old.
I mean, my big obstacle when it came to club soccer was literally just finding out how to try out, how to sign up, get in contact with anyone. Because for me, I just went to what I call the public school route. Like, I played town soccer, I played, then town travel soccer, middle school soccer, then high school. I had no idea there was this entire other world of higher quality training essentially right in my backyard. I mean, do you think that that's a similar obstacle that kids face? Because it's, if you think about it, it's almost an invisible obstacle because you don't know that club soccer is a possibility.
Yeah, that's definitely like a big obstacle that like a bunch of my friends faced. And since I was already in the club soccer scene, they're like, my friends' parents would come to my mom and ask like how this happened, this and that. My friends would ask me, and I would tell them, this is what you have to do. And still to now, I got like younger guys that like I know from back in Manchester. I'm like, you got to do this and this. Got to call, so email them. So yeah.
How do you think what's the best way to help those kids, do you think, that don't have those resources? I mean, you literally grew up in a refugee camp and you came to the US. I mean, and you were able to find an outlet for club soccer. I mean, what do you think is the biggest way to prevent kids who even grew up here with all these resources? How do you help them get to that club soccer route without, all the confusion? Because it can be a confusing process.
Yeah, it can. I think all you got to do is just like find out when the tryout is and go speak to a coach. Like that's the easiest thing. They'll make it simple for you, and just go speak to a coach at the tryout and see what's going on.
What's something you wish you knew going into playing club soccer for the first time?
Dang, man. I wish I knew how to use a GPS, because an hour late to games. But I used to play like 30 minutes a game because like my mom, I was so young, and my mom had to drive and use a GPS, and she just learned how to drive like a year or two ago. So she was looking at the GPS and trying to drive, and it was like a mess. And I was supposed to tell her the directions, but I'd fall asleep.
Those are the days for those who grew up in the era that we live now. Those were the days with the TomTom GPS or printing them out.
The Grayman or whatever, the Grayman. I don't know how to say it.
There was a bunch of different brands of the GPS that you had to buy, and then you would suction cup it to your dashboard. And those ones would only work if you had service where you started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so those weren't, if you made a wrong turn, it wouldn't realize until maybe 5 minutes later.
Yeah. It used to be bad. It used to be bad out there. I used to be so late to a lot of games. It used to be bad.
Your advice, be on time. First things first.
For sure.
I mean, you've had a lot of stops along your development path playing, you mentioned clubs like Inti, GPS, Seacoast, and now you're at, Valeo. So is a question I want to know is there a lesson that you were able to take from each club along your journey that's helped you in your development the most?
Yes, I've learned a lot of lessons from each club. I can go one by one if you want.
Absolutely.
From Inti, I learned that I just gotta at Inti, I learned that I gotta there's a lot better players than where I'm from. Even though I was very good at Inti, that there's gonna be other players, and I thought I was the best. I no one could tell me anything. I thought I was the best, and I played alongside some coaches, and I thought I was better than the coach. I was crazy. I thought I was better than the coaches too. So Inti really just showed me that there's another side of more quality, and that GPS, I learned that I gotta work hard. I have to work hard to make the top teams. And at Seacoast, I learned that there's next level, and then I played against some kids that are in the MLS right now. Some kids are overseas, that are playing professional, and playing in the Serie A with Matthew, Matt Leo. Is this Pat or Matt?
Patrick at Venezia.
Yeah, Patrick Leo. The kid's playing with Pat. His name's Jack, and I played against him. He played for Philly Union, and that was a different level. I saw. I was yeah, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And
what do you tell those kids that come in? Because you're going to run into them everywhere you go, especially in the world of soccer. I mean, what do you tell those kids that come into it thinking that they're better than everybody? Because there's always going to be somebody who's better than you, or there's going to be somebody who's willing to work harder than you. What do you tell those kids, and how did you change your attitude yourself?
Okay. What I would tell them is, bro, just you're not going to be better than everyone. There's no reason you should obviously you should have confidence, but if you have overconfidence, you're just going to you're just gonna like make yourself like you're just gonna like talk down on yourself because you thought you were so good, and then you see someone better and you're gonna think that you're worse, and you're gonna think that you're worse than you really are. And how I think you should, how I got I just got humbled real bad. Like I had like when I came to Valeo, I had Emilio, Carlton, all of them let me know.
They will humble you pretty quickly.
Yeah, they did. They let me
They're
know.
They're fantastic people, but they will humble you pretty quickly if you need to be humbled.
Yeah, they let me know pretty well. Yeah, there was like this one coach at Valeo. He let me know. I don't even know his name. It was some old guy. He's like, what do you want to be? I was like, a professional footballer. He's like, nope. But yeah,
nope.
It was good. It was good. Yeah.
I mean, I heard this quote the other day, and I think it's pretty relevant here. And it's comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's relevant to football as well. When you compare yourself to other people, it's going to kill your confidence. And in doing so, it's going to stunt your development because all of a sudden you're down on yourself and you need to be the one who's motivating yourself the most.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's true.
I mean, when did you realize that Valeo was different? And when did you realize Valeo was different and was going to be able to provide you with the opportunity to play at the next level, unlike any of the other clubs you've played for?
Mm-hmm. I just knew that like first year I came to Valeo, I knew it was different because it was high level and everyone cared about football. And like the second thing, it was just the coaches, man. I loved all the coaches. Like, I don't know, it like I felt like I knew they were my coaches, but I felt like I had like a different connection with them where I could be myself, I could be cool, I could be goofy. As like somewhere else, I'm like, I'm like professional and stuff. But if I see like Vision somewhere, like now I don't like when I was younger I used to think of him as a coach, but now I don't even think like I pretty much grew up with Vision, like me like becoming into like a young man. Like Vision saw me from like a little kid to like me now, so I don't even think of Vision as like he was my boss over the summer when I was working. Yo, my bad, Vision. I know you're. But yeah, the coaches were like all awesome. It was great. I loved all the coaches. So that's what like really made it different. It was like felt like a family, like a real family where everyone cared about me and everyone was serious about their football.
And that's one of the things that I first noticed about it's something similar when I first got to Valeo myself, even just working for the club. And it is you realize you look at the clubs that are all around the Northeast, right? You look at giant clubs like GPS, Seacoast, even Stars, and it's thousands and thousands of players. You are, I know absolutely zero disrespect to any of those other clubs, but you are more of a number there than you are with us. With us, we want to know you. We want to know your family. We want to know everything about you so we can coach you and develop you the best to your possible potential. And I think that's a big thing that stands out to me when I think of Valeo.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of owners like Emilio, man. I swear there's not a lot of people like Emilio. Like, I don't know. He's something else, man. Shout out Emilio, man.
Absolutely, somebody we did have on the podcast previously. I got the direct inside scoop on what his vision was for the club, and you're absolutely right. You don't see a lot of owners and founders of the club walking around every day, coaching kids directly, being involved with everyone directly, wanting to know all the players' names, see how they're developing. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. He could like, I don't know. I like before I even came here, like I didn't know like what was gonna really happen, but like I couldn't come to some practices at Valeo for because I played on the NPSL team for a little bit. I couldn't come to some practices because I didn't have a ride and I didn't have like, I didn't have like ways to get to practice. And Emilio like literally like took me and he like told me like what I gotta do. Got me living with some people on my team, and like I don't know, he like makes it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, now you're playing with Valeo Nazaré in Portugal. I mean, just talk to me about what that experience has been like for you.
Oh man, it's been started off very shaky for me because I didn't play. I didn't play on a team for like almost 2 years before I came here because one year, like it was COVID year, so we didn't really have like team things like that. And the next year, I went to college and some things fell out, and like I didn't play, and I had a groin injury for like seven months. So I got pretty chubby, and I was really out of shape. So I like slowly got back to playing a little bit, and barely played the NPSL this season because I had like a injury in my ankle, and then I have tendonitis in my ankle. And before I came here, like a month before I came here, I was training and I tried to jump over a fence and I just banged my knee so hard. And I don't know, like, and then I was out for a month. I could barely bend my knee. And the day I got here, I slept for like maybe like an hour, went to training. That was my first time touching the ball in a month at training.
How'd it go?
I played fine. I was just out of breath. And then the next day, I played 80 minutes, and I played 80 minutes the next day after a month of not touching the football. So it's like, and I think I played pretty fine. And the level is good. And I didn't feel like it's like perfect level for me. It's like, it's not too hard and it's not too easy. It's just like, it challenges us, you know?
Yeah. I mean, talk to me a little bit about everything that's going on there. I mean, the training, the coaches, the living situation. Just walk me through the whole process.
At first, like the whole living situation, because I've never lived out of my house before. I'm a boy, so like I'm used to like food being ready for me and everything. So when I first got here, it was I wanted to go back home. If I'm be honest, I was like, I'm not. I thought I couldn't do this. You know, I don't know. I just didn't. Let me turn the light on. Hold on.
I noticed they went out for you.
There you go. I just realized you couldn't see me. But yeah, I wanted to go back home because I don't know, I wasn't used to like not eating my food and stuff, and like how I usually eat it at home. And yeah, I wanted to go home. Wait, what was the question? Hold on, I messed up.
I was just saying, talk me through, what training is like, the coaches, the living situation, being in Nazaré, Portugal,
Okay. All right. So the living situation is pretty nice. We have a really nice flat. We have Emilio hooked it up for us. We have a nice flat. We have rooms to ourselves. It's nice. And the coaches, we have Diogo. He's like, I don't know. He's something else. He's a character, man. He's like,
we love Diogo.
He's like one of the coolest coaches I've had so far, because he doesn't connect, like he connects to you as a player and a coach. And he's like one of the first coaches that ever told me, he's like, bro, like when like a coach tells you they trust you as a player, that gives you the ultimate confidence to play your game, you know? Mm-hmm. So because I've had some coaches that like just used to like just yell at me and stuff, and my confidence was low and my game would go down. But Diogo just like lets me know he believes in me and he knows I can do this, and that gives me the ultimate confidence just to play football, you know?
Absolutely.
So the coaches are definitely top notch. The trainings are good. They're well organized, and everyone's passionate here, you know? Because in US sometimes there's like one or two kids that like, you know, they're like, they're not like, you know, but everyone here is like passionate and they want to play football and we want to get better. So I really love that.
And one of the other things, and one of the last things I'll talk about here is, I'm sure you saw, we did just announce, the relaunching of Valeo Europe and Valeo International Academy. I mean, what would you say to the kids that, over here in the States that are thinking about coming over and, playing with and around you guys?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I'd say make sure before you leave, make sure that you really want to come here, and make sure you're ready to make sacrifices to coming here. Make sure that you're not gonna miss your mom too much. I mean, obviously you're gonna miss your parent, your family and stuff, but it's a huge sacrifice. Just make sure that you're here and you want to be here. Don't waste your time by coming here and not being not sure and just be I don't know if I want to come. Just make sure you want to come here and be ready to compete, because here you don't know who's watching anytime. You don't know who is watching at all, so you could get picked up real quick if you ball out.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Listen, Rahul, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you to those who have been listening as well. This has been the Valeo Values Podcast. Thank you again to Rahul Drukpa for coming on. I have been your host, Carter Hockman. We'll see you guys next time.